Okay, this is going to be a video response to Ballerina Boy 1's video, turning to Team Wicca or Team Witchcraft, and what team do you belong on? First I want to start off by saying that I myself am, and if you seen my other videos, you know that I am Wiccan. I consider myself Wiccan. Let me put it like that. I consider myself to be an eclectic Wiccan. So I do draw from various paths. But basically I do practice the fundamentals of Wicca, in that I do follow the Wiccanry, and the threefold law is a different thing for me. I do believe in what you send out will come back to you, whether it be good or bad. If it's 3 times, not 100% sure on that, but I do think that anything you send out does come back to you, whether it's harming someone or something beneficial. You do get repaid. Your debt always gets repaid. I personally believe it gets repaid within this lifetime. I think there may be some circumstances in which it does travel over to the next lifetime, because I do believe in reincarnation. And it's mainly lessons that you need to learn that you did not learn within that current lifetime. So I do think that you are set on a path to learn that lesson in your future lifetime. Not saying that I believe, I'm not one of those that subscribes to the idea of if you, what is it? Like if a woman gets raped or a child gets molested, something like that, they somehow brought that on themselves, or in a way asked for that to happen because of a karmic law in some way, shape or form. No, I don't believe that. I do believe that when you do go through things like that, there is a lesson there to be learned. I don't think that it happens to you to learn that lesson, but that something can come from it, whether it is to make you stronger or whether you choose to let it make you stronger. In that, I think it is your choice in some respects. I do understand the psychological ramifications of some of those things that takes place, but ultimately you decide if you let that event build you up or tear you down. On a little personal note, and here I am just sharing all day today, as a child I did go through verbal and emotional abuse, and by my stepfather, and that was something that at the time I didn't say, oh, I'm going to learn from this kind of thing, but what it did was allow me to act in a way where I always thought of the next person. So before I say something, I would think how that would make someone else feel, or even a lot of things that I did, I would always think of the other person first, like how would this affect them if I did this or said this or yada yada yada, that kind of thing. Actually today, my stepfather and I have a really good relationship, and I think a lot of that came about because of healing through him just coming out and admitting what he did, and he, admitting that he knew it was wrong and that he was truly sorry for it. And then it's like once a year he seems to apologize for it. I don't know, but neither here nor there. But anyways, I consider myself Wiccan, and I say this because I was not initiated into a coven. I self-dedicated and self-initiated. I do know many people who are in covens do not consider that Wiccan, because they believe that in order to be Wiccan, you must be initiated by another Wiccan. Personally, I don't feel that way, but I am currently studying through witch school, and I am doing their course on first degree, on their first degree course. So I am doing that. It's not so much because I feel that I need to be initiated by a coven, but I came upon the website and I saw all of the classes it had to offer, and I became greatly interested in it, and I have learned a lot through them as well as through the books I've read, people I've spoken to. I did also used to take Grove classes when I lived in New York. Actually, I think if you had completed it, you do have an opportunity to get initiated in the coven. Those Grove classes was actually taught by a high priestess and high priest of their own coven. So I have had some training outside of books, but I wasn't actually initiated into a coven. Now, as far as Wicca and witchcraft is concerned, I think a lot of this debate stems from the fact that some almost see Wicca and witchcraft as going hand in hand. If you're Wiccan, you practice witchcraft. But not necessarily if you practice witchcraft, you're Wiccan. And because of that, and because of things like the Rule of Three and the Wiccan Rede, that is something that is hard to, I guess, digest together, because one can practice witchcraft and not follow the Wiccan Rede or believe in the Rule of Three, and say if someone harmed them, they feel that they have the right to basically react in kind, or I'm not going to say lash out, because I'm not saying that they're looking to harm, straight out. They're looking to defend themselves, and that's fine for them. I don't have a problem with that. For me personally, no, I don't do that. I do practice witchcraft. That's something I only started within this last year because I wasn't comfortable. I did not feel ready to do that until now. Even though I have been practicing and studying Wicca for about 14 years, I also have read on witchcraft and have studied witchcraft a lot over the years as well. But I did not feel that I was ready to take that step. There was once that I did a spell, but it was more along the lines of fear for my family because they were traveling during a very uncertain time. It was the first 4th of July after 9/11, and I'm from New York, so I'm from Brooklyn, so it hit hard for all of us. And the fact that they were willing to fly and we were on high alert at the time was very frightening to me, so I bought them all safe travel amulets, and I consecrated and blessed it, and I did a spell for safe travel for them. So, and even that was a few years after I started studying Wicca and witchcraft. Wicca is a religion. Witchcraft is not a religion. Witchcraft is a practice, and you can be any religion and practice witchcraft. You can be Catholic, you can be any form of Christian, you can be Jewish, you can be Muslim, you can be Hindu, Buddhist. Obviously, various pagans practice witchcraft as well. Witchcraft is not specifically for pagans, meaning that it's not exclusive to pagans. As I've said, you can be in any religion. To me, a lot of the Catholic rituals is very similar to me, to Wiccan rituals, in that you consecrate an area. You are praying to, well, they just pray to the God, but little things like that, to me is very similar. I have to plug in my battery because this laptop's about to die, so I'm going to have to pause right here. Okay. My laptop was giving me all kinds of warnings and pop-ups and flashing lights down at the bottom to plug in or else. So yes, as I was saying, Wicca is a religion. So you don't need to practice witchcraft to practice Wicca. You just need to have a deep understanding of the god and goddess and their connectedness to each other. And Wicca, and this is what really drew me to Wicca, is because this is how I kind of view divinity anyway. But the god and goddess, for most Wiccans, or for many Wiccans, I don't want to say all, is seen as parts of a whole. They are two halves of a whole. Really, in Wicca, you should honor the goddess and the god. Yes, there are Wiccan covens, or traditions rather, that mainly honor the goddess, like Dianic Wicca. Now, I don't know much about Dianic Wicca because I was never interested in it, because of the fact that it seemed so exclusive to just women, and that's not something that I was looking for. Even though I am all about female empowerment, and I think that's a lot of also what drives that tradition as well. There are some things with it I don't agree with, and I'm not really going to get into that, but it's really why I settled on being an eclectic Wiccan, because there are some things in various traditions that I'm just not comfortable with. So but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. You know, you can be a witch. You don't have to practice the Sabbats. You don't have to observe the Esbats. You don't have to even honor the god and goddess. Your spells in witchcraft can be directed towards any divine entity that you recognize, or no divine entity at all. As far as you're concerned, power comes from the universe. Everything is you know, it could be just the universe that is what is mystical and magical and what drives everything else. Power, you know, or you can believe that there's divinity in everyone and everything. I do feel, I think in some way I do feel that way too, that there is an aspect of the divine, or a spark of the divine in all of us and in all things, which is why I think everything should be honored and treated with respect. You know, in Wicca, or even in witchcraft, oh gosh, where was that thought going? It kind of just blew out the window. Well, if it comes back, I'll touch on it again. But yes, as I was saying, Wicca is a religion, and I did do a book review on this, but I would like to suggest this book to anyone who is looking to study Wicca or become Wiccan, or even who are Wiccan who might not have read it. Wicca by Vivian Crowley. And in this book, she discusses a lot. She covers everything from the god and goddess, the aspects of the goddess and the god, and invoking them, and even things like the circle. Not just how to cast a circle, but why we use a circle. She does go into the history of Wicca. She starts off by discussing Wicca today, you know, and basically it's like an overview of the beliefs. So it touches briefly on the cosmology of the god and goddess and things like that. But she goes on to the roots of Wicca. So she discusses early religion. So it's I don't want to say Neolithic. Well, okay, here she says Paleolithic, so like Paleolithic roots, and she goes on to discuss the aspects of the moon and basically why the moon phases are important. She goes over history of the Celts, Mediterranean paganism. She does discuss paganism and witchcraft, the rise of Christianity and the effect that it has had on um, paganism. She covers the church and the devil, and basically like paganism nowadays. But she discusses the wheel of the year, and I mean it's all just she discusses magic as well in here, and this is really, well, for me it's been an invaluable tool, because it not only for me reaffirmed what I believed in, but certain things that I wasn't quite aware of before in my studies, or maybe I've forgotten over the years. She covered a lot of that in here. So she does cover, like, you know, the elementals, and I never really studied much about the elementals, but she does talk about like air, fire, water, earth, and air is this sylphs. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. That's how I pronounce it every time I see that word. Fire is salamanders. Water is undines. Again. And earths are gnomes. And again, she goes more into preparing a circle and preparing sacred space, casting a circle. Let's see. But yeah, books on witchcraft that's very good. Well, name one author is like Raven Grimassi, who is an excellent author for witchcraft. A lot of people think that he just does like Italian witchcraft or books on Italian witchcraft, but he has a lot of books on ancient witchcraft, and I think he does have some books that discuss the history of witchcraft. He does have books on Wicca as well, so he's a great source. Raven Buckland is another one for witchcraft, as well as Wicca. Scott Cunningham, another book I would suggest for Wicca is by Janet and Stuart Ferreira, The Witch's Bible, and a lot of that is geared towards coven, but it still has invaluable information if you're solitary as well. Another book that, well, I'm not going to say I recommend it per se. It's just kind of nifty, I guess, to have. It's this one, The Wiccan Book of Days, and it just basically every day it has like something you could do, or what might have been done in history on that date. Like, let's see, what's today, the 18th? February 18th. Let's give a little something example of this book. But okay, so on February 18th it says, on this day a festival of women known as the Spenta Armati, I can pronounce that wrong, was held annually throughout the country of Persia. And then it just goes on to discuss that a little bit. But yeah, so it's like each day, like if there was a festival, and it's not just Wicca though. It says a Wiccan book of rituals, book of days, but it's not just Wicca, because like here on the 24th of February, you have Shiva, the multi-phased Hindu god of destruction and renewal, is honored annually on this date, approximately by a day of fasting. And it goes on, you know, a little bit on further for that. You do also have some Christian observances as well. So, I mean, I think, nothing that you have to run out and buy, but I think it's just like a little, oh, that's nice to know, or interesting to, you know, learn about certain days of the week, of the year, rather. But, a book I do want to get is, I think it's Dorian Valente, her ABCs of Witchcraft. I want to get that as well. I heard it's more of encyclopedia type ish, kind of like Silver Ravenwolf's Book of Shadows, Witch's Book of Shadows, or whatever the exact title name is that she put out. That too is more of an encyclopedia feel to it. But yeah, I think that's it. I know this video was kind of here, there, and everywhere. I probably should have written down what I wanted to say before making it, but whatever. So, thank you for watching, and blessed be.